Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 12th installment of the Guru's Ultimate Metroidvania Tier List. I'm the Metroidvania Guru, Luke, and this is my ongoing tier list. For anyone new, I'll go ahead and do a quick breakdown for you. I have a Google Doc, link is in the description, and on that doc you're going to find the current list, how it stands, both as an image and in text. And further down that document you're going to see all the Metroidvanias that I currently have on the picker wheel. I use this picker wheel to pick 3 Metroidvanias to talk about every month, and when I talk about these Metroidvanias, I go over the pros, the cons. I do a completely separate spoiler section so I don't spoil anything for anyone. I give my final thoughts, and then I place it on the tier list. So I get these questions every time, like where's X or where's this game on the tier list? Just know that it hasn't been chosen from the picker yet, so it will come, I promise. That should get the intro out of the way, so let's go ahead and dive into this episode. The first Metroidvania on this episode is Ebenezer and the Invisible World. I actually already did an analysis on this game. I'll throw the card up now if you're interested in that. And matter of fact, I've done an analysis on all 3 games on this episode. So I would just be throwing cards up at the beginning of every entry, so that way I don't have to repeat this moving forward. So what is Ebenezer and the Invisible World? It's built as a direct sequel to A Christmas Carol. You pick things up as a reformed Ebenezer Scrooge who's visited by a spirit wishing to help his childhood friend turned evil industrialist. And because Scrooge isn't a jerk anymore, he gladly obliges to save London. Alright, let's dive right into the pros here. So the first pro that I have here is that Ebenezer and the Invisible World uses its source material to great effect. Anyone who's familiar with A Christmas Carol, which is, probably everyone, you've either had to read it in high school or you've watched a movie, maybe with Muppets, maybe with Bill Murray, it doesn't matter. But you know what happens there. You got Scrooge, right? He gets visited by the 3 spirits, and then he reforms because he was a jerk, and now he's a nice guy, and he's helping people, and he's not so much like a miser, penny pincher or whatnot. Well, this game picks up right after, that original story, and so you should be familiar with a lot of the things within the game, such as the setting in London, which is, believe it or not, an actual place, which is, wow, really? And you should be really familiar with Ebenezer Scrooge. And you'll see other characters, like the actual 3 spirits from the original story, as well as Tiny Tim. Marley makes an appearance. And so, yeah, someone who's grown up with this story, it's kind of cool to see where they kind of took it afterward. It is a little odd where they decided to take it, into a Metroidvania, and there's fighting and whatnot, which is something that you don't really equate with Scrooge because he's like an old man. But regardless, it's kind of cool, and they really use that source material to their advantage. My next pro here is that this game is a legit Metroidvania. You take a look at something like Ebenezer and the Invisible World and see like an easy cash grab. It's like, oh, I'm going to use a recognizable IP and get a quick buck or something like that. That's not the case for this game. This game is like legit. It's like a serious Metroidvania. I'm talking there's different biomes, there's a charm system in the game, so it's taking some cues from Hollow Knight. There's like 8 different weapons in the game. There's backtracking, ability gating, you can increase certain stats. It's all there, man. I'm not going to say everything it does is absolutely outstanding, but the fact that it does everything necessary to be a Metroidvania is pretty impressive. Again, considering the fact that I seriously came in here thinking it was just going to be a cash grab and just something stupid. But no, this is a legit game, legit Metroidvania. And to kind of confirm its legitness is the fact that my next point is secrets are well hidden. I won't lie to you, when I played this game, I kind of wasn't in the mood for it, and I don't know, it wasn't because I just didn't want to play a Metroidvania, because I'm always playing a Metroidvania. But there was just something about Ebenezer and the Invisible World that just didn't click with me, and it was probably its setting but anyway, I guess when I was playing the game, I wasn't being at my most observant, and I missed a crap ton of things when I first played this game. Like, I know there's the 3 spirits from the original story that are in the game, and I only saw 2 of them. I don't think I found the Ghost of Christmas Future, and I missed a crap ton of weapons in this game. And typically what I do when I beat a Metroidvania, I'll then look up stuff on it, like reviews or watch other people play it, just to see, what the heck did I miss? And some of the things that I missed were hidden really well. Like, there's one where there's a move that Scrooge can do where he can like enter mirrors and go into this like I don't even know if it's like a dream world or an alternate dimension or something, but these alternate areas are very platform heavy. And for some reason, I never thought to look for stuff while in these platforming areas. And so there's one of these mirrors with a platforming section that's pretty out of the way. Like, you come across it earlier in the game, And so I never really thought of returning to that area to use this mirror jumping ability. But if you return there, you can get something in that area, but there's also a hidden something within that area as well, and it's like some sort of really cool weapon. And so yeah, there's a lot of instances of me just missing so much in this game. So the devs, they went out of the way to make this a real Metroidvania. They were hiding stuff, they reward exploration, all kinds of things. So it's pretty neat. My next pro is that I thought the enemy designs were pretty creative. The big conceit to the story of A Christmas Carol is that if you are not good in life, you will be punished in death. And typically those punishments come in the forms of, whatever regret that you had. And so each enemy in this game is like this weird kind of mixture of like a human / whatever their obsession was that made them, I guess, not a good person in life. Like there's this one enemy, it was an etymologist. That can't be right. No, I don't know, maybe that's right. I don't know. They studied bugs. And because this enemy neglected its duties and its family and stuff like that in life, because in this pursuit of being the best bug studier of all time, in death, his restless spirit is this kind of human-bug hybrid thing that crawls on the wall. And so all the enemies in the game are like that. And so you might be asking yourself, wow, how do you know all that about a regular enemy? Well, this game has like a bestiary that goes into every enemy's kind of like history. And these devs, like, they really went out of their way to make every enemy be something that would acquiesce to what was being used in the book, right? Turning these restless spirits into these like monsters that represented, their misdeeds in life. And so not only did they have to be creative in making all of that, but then they wrote up like paragraphs for each character to let you know exactly why they look and act the way they look and act. I don't know what to say. I thought that was just a really awesome touch. Next pro I have here is that I put Ender Lily's dupe. And what that means is that you use spirits as abilities. And, I thought it was actually pretty cool. And so what happens is you'll find spirits within the game. They'll give you, not all of them, but a majority of them will give you side quests. You complete that side quest, and then that spirit will join you. And much like Ender Lilies, these spirits will help you with traversal as well as attacks. Like, I can't remember every single spirit, but I know there's like a kid you get pretty early that lets you like stomp on balloons so you can, jump higher, get to higher places. And then you get, I think, like a fisherman. There's like a side quest with this fisherman. You finish this side quest, and then this fisherman will then, you can summon him and he'll like chuck like javelins or like harpoons or something like that. So yeah, it's all creative. It's all really cool. And I love the idea that to get these spirits, you have to do a side quest. So a lot of these spirits that you can use in the game are missable if you want. Now, when I say missable, I don't mean you can't, like, there's a point of no return in the game, but like you can just not find these spirits, or you can just not complete their side quests and then not obtain them. But yeah, I thought the spirits were really cool, especially the ones that helped with traversal. You don't have to equip these spirits. They just like appear when you need them. There's one spirit that lets you go through gates. There's another one that I think gives you a double jump. There's one that lets you glide. And so yeah, I put that it's an Ender Lily's dupe. I was, just kind of being a goof, but I really do like what they were doing with the spirits in this game. And my last pro here is, it says, spirits as ability gating not told to you. I missed a lot in this game. I don't know, I was just, it was around Christmas time, I guess, and I just wasn't like, my head wasn't in the game. I don't know, but I missed so much because I wasn't being very observant when I first played Ebenezer in the Invisible World. And I don't know if the game tells you or not. This isn't spoilers because you can actually see it in the trailer if you're observant, which apparently I'm not. But there's a spirit that you get in the game. He's like a strong man, and he has like this ball and chain. And you can like hit enemies with it, and it's really powerful. But you can also use this spirit to knock down walls, and I had no idea, and I missed so much because of that. And I just cannot recall if the game tells you that this spirit can knock down walls, and I don't think it did, or else I imagine I would have read it and figured it out, but I don't know. It didn't tell me, and I thought that was kind of cool that the game expected players to figure it out themselves, and too bad that I'm a dummy, I guess. All right, time to move to the cons. So the first con that I have for Ebenezer in the Invisible World is spirits as ability gating not told to you. So yeah, like I said, I thought as a pro it was cool that that there was no hand holding and they expected players to figure things out. But again, I just missed so much. I don't know why I put that in the cons too. Sometimes I do that. Next con here is that it's pretty linear. I don't mind linear Metroidvanias that much, really, but I do like some non-linearity, or at least some player choice to go where I feel like going at the time, right? Like, I don't always like to just go through a straight line. And so what a lot of Metroidvanias do is they will have this linear path for you, but they'll give the illusion of non-linearity by making the world interconnected in strange ways, or by rewarding players when they backtrack to previous biomes so they can pick up, whatever goodies or whatnot. And again, I'm cool with that style, but it's just not my favorite, so that's why I put it in the cons. So yeah, it's a pretty linear game. You start at point A, you go to B, C, D, E, and then you end with F, right? So along the way, you can deviate and find some things if you want, but if you just kind of like, I guess what I did when I played the game, I just went like straight through it, and yeah, it was pretty linear. My next con is kind of subjective, but I was not a fan of the art style. It felt kind of Flash gamey to me. I don't know what it was. Things just felt, it might have been the animation. I thought the animation was a little too generic or stiff. I don't know, it's tough for me to explain, but I didn't really like, it wasn't my favorite. And I guess it brings me to another con, and again, this is subjective, but I didn't like the Christmassy setting. I don't know, it was just like a lot of blues, a lot of snow, a lot of whites, and then you'd get splashes of colors with like Christmas lights and things like that. But I don't know, it just didn't hit for me. And that brings me to the next con with like the hub biome that is London. I felt London was huge. Like London almost connects to every single biome in the game. It may connect to every single biome, but I don't recall. But if it doesn't connect to every single biome, it connects to a majority of them. And there are long stretches in this London hub biome that's just nothing. It feels just so empty. Like there are times you're like running through an area and the camera will pan back and you just feel the nothingness. And that's kind of ironic because there's so much going on in the environments. You can look in the background and see people in pubs or in buildings or walking down the streets. And there's even a part with like a labor union that's getting busted up. Aside from those instances, again, there are some areas that just are an expanse of nothing. Maybe there might be like a building or something like that, and some might even have some enemies. But I don't know, this London hub was just so big and just didn't have a whole lot going on in it. Yes, in certain areas it did, but I don't know, just not everywhere. And every time I had to run through it, I was like, ugh. There is fast travel in the game. It was like a ghost train or something like that. But like most games with fast travels as waypoints, some of those waypoints really don't take you to anywhere near stuff you want to be checking out. And so there were a lot of times where a hike was necessary, and it just felt so empty sometimes. My next con is that the combat doesn't feel punchy. I don't know, I would hit stuff with my cane and it just felt not great. I don't know if it wasn't because it didn't do any screen shake or there wasn't any like really good reactive animations from the enemies or anyone else, or maybe the sound design didn't match what the reactive animation would be for the enemy. Sometimes it just felt like they flashed and it was just, I don't know, it just didn't feel great. And my last con is, I think this game is getting DLC, but I have no idea. I've heard rumors of DLC, and there's even like an area in the game, and this is what bugged me the most. There's an area in the game that is like just a locked door, and there's no way to open it. I've checked, I've done some research, and no one else can figure it out. And so a lot of people are thinking that there's like the World's Fair, I do believe, that's in the London hub, and a lot of people are speculating that there's going to be DLC regarded to that World's Fair, and it will be either you can either enter this new biome through the locked door that's inaccessible right now, or you will exit from there. And this door is like in the library or something like that. But I don't know. I guess there's DLC coming. I would like to have something in the game that tells me that, hey, this is inaccessible right now, wait for the future or something. And maybe there is now, because I played this game when it first came out. Sometimes I'll say stuff and there will be things will be patched out and I just sound stupid. But I swear, when I first played this game back in, I think it came out in like November of 2023, or maybe December, there was no indicator or nothing that told me about this door being inaccessible or whatnot. But I did waste a whole lot of time trying to figure out how to get in there. That's just one of the things I don't like about modern gaming is, companies do that. Like even Tevi, when I was playing Tevi, There's like a circus area in that game, and then there's some other building that you have no access to. And the game itself doesn't tell you that these are things that are going to be added in the future. You typically have to go out to an outside source or something like that. I don't know. I guess it is what it is. I just find it frustrating. And it seems that Ebenezer and the Invisible World is doing something very similar. So I don't know. It's been a year. I haven't seen anything on updates. Maybe somebody can comment and let me know if there is a DLC for it. But I booted the game back up and I didn't see anything. So, I don't know, whatever. And so now my final thoughts on Ebenezer and the Invisible World. I don't know what it is, but I just can't get into Invisible World. It has to be its art style and setting, and I just don't like its color scheme. But all that superficial stuff aside, it's clear to see Invisible World is a very competent Metroidvania. Drop the Christmas Carol motif for a more original and unique story, and I might actually dig it more. And with all of that out of the way, where should I put Ebenezer on the tier list? Definitely not an F, because like I said, it's a very competent Metroidvania. I wouldn't say it's a D either, because it does so much so well. I'm feeling C. C's pretty good. Where am I going to put it? It's not at the bottom of the C's. I just dropped it there because I'm lazy. I want to put it. I'll put it above Messenger. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I think it's in the average of the average tier, I do believe. So there you go. Ebenezer and the Invisible World in the C tier, average of average. And again, it does so much that a decent Metroidvania should do. I don't know. It just doesn't ascend to anything more than what I would imagine. Even though it has a charm system, it has multiple weapons. It really doesn't have any like stats. I mean, you can increase your HP and your ghost meter or whatever that's called. So there are some stat increases, but there's no leveling or whatnot. Like, you don't necessarily need all this stuff to be an amazing Metroidvania. It just helps, in my opinion. But I think really the biggest thing that hurts Ebenezer and the Invisible World is I don't know, its art style. It just seems so bland to me. I don't know if I just wasn't in the correct headspace to play this game, but it just didn't resonate with me. But even if that's the case, and I just wasn't in the right space to play this game, or it just didn't connect with me. I think it's fair that I at least look at it and be like, okay, I think this is a C tier game, and just because I just feel like this is so bland and its combat just really wasn't all that great. And and that's one thing I didn't really bring up during my cons, and one of the big cons in this game is that the bosses are super weak. I can't recall how many are in the game, 5, maybe 6. There's not a whole lot. And none of them were challenging. In fact, really none of the combat is really all that tough. But yeah, there you go. Ebenezer and the Invisible World, mid-C. Next up, we have Lost Ruins. This is a good game. I really like this one a whole lot, but it's not one I want people to know I'm playing or to watch over my shoulder as I'm playing this one because of lots of jiggle physics and whatnot. Anyway, let's just get into it. So what is Lost Ruins? Let's see. So you play as an amnesiac schoolgirl, and you awaken in this dilapidated castle full of like zombies and goblins and waifu witches or something. And with the help of a nice witch named Beatrice, the nameless protagonist must traverse the castle's dangers in order to find out who she really is. It's not the best of setups, but it's not bad either. It's kind of like in media res, I guess. No, not even that, because you just kind of like appear. And there's really nothing going on. You just kind of start moving. And there's nothing wrong with that. I actually like that a lot. It's just like your character just kind of, and then you're like, whoa, what do I do now? There's nothing going on. All right, let's get into the pros. First pro I have here is its presentation. I'm always a sucker for really great pixel work, and Lost Ruins has some great pixel work. Not only does everything look good in this game, pixel-wise, but everything animates so great as well. And then there's like really good lighting to the game, as well as like really cool particle effects. That's what I think of when I look back at my time with Lost Ruins, is all the different like lighting effects and the cool particles that are shooting all over the place. I don't know, I just thought it was really, really unique. Next pro I have here is the combat, which I think is kind of funny because the combat in this game is kind of trash. And when I say it's trash, it's like, like when you're, she doesn't have a name, so I'm just going to call her your little girl, schoolgirl. No, I don't want to call her that. Let's just call her girl. This is call her girl. Anyway, when girl attacks, it is sad. It's like, it is a very, very chunky, clunky swing. It takes a good few seconds to pull off an attack in this game. There are other weapons you can get that are faster, but typically the first weapon you're going to get is like the sword, and it just, that attack animation is just wow. And I get how that can be a turnoff for people who look at that and you're like, well, okay, I'm out. But I promise you, the game is designed around this. The devs, they knew that this attack was bad, and so they designed the game around it. So you actually can play this game with this really, really awkward looking attack. And I like this attack because it kind of reinforces that the girl is just like some random girl with zero combat experience just trying to survive. And that's directly reflected in how she attacks things. She also has this like roll with iframes, and it is a clunky roll, man. Like, I would say it's better than what Lily from Ender Lilies looks like, because at the beginning of Ender Lilies, Lily will like belly flop. So at least this girl in Lost Ruins does a legit roll, although it's just kind of slow and it's just funny to watch. But yeah, the combat and general movement in this game, it will make you not feel powerful, which I think is great because this is a survival game, and the power trip, or if you want to say that, or any sort of like empowerment that you'll get will come from your intelligence in tandem with this silly looking combat. But the coolest thing about this combat is the spells. And I guess that'll just bring us to my next 2 bullet points. My next 2 bullet points are the weapons and the spells. There are a crap ton of weapons in this game, and each weapon is viable to some degree. There are some weapons that they are more effective against goblins, some that give bleed, some that do poison. And then there's even bonkers ones that I think you attack with it, and the attack speed increases with every attack, but every time you attack, it does some debuff to you, and if you get hit, all those debuffs go off and hurt you. There's some really creative and weird weapons going on here. And then the spells are really cool too. They're not very viable at first because you don't have any MP regen. I don't think there's MP regen in the game, not until you get certain items. Yeah, spells don't start out viable, but once you start getting MP regen, man, they become amazing. And there are some spells that are absolutely broken, like the invisibility spell. That absolutely breaks the game. And I'm cool with that because this game is pretty difficult. And so the devs added a bunch of stuff that you could utilize to make this game a little easier, or a lot easier in the case of the invisibility spell. I'm telling you, I could be in the middle of the fight, cast invisibility, and the enemies will just instantly lose their aggro. And then I just can either sneak past them or sneak up to them and start fighting them. And right when they're about to attack, I can then just hit invisibility again, and then they just okay, whatever. It legit makes the last third of the game just a cakewalk. And there's just a whole bunch of really cool spells that you can get in this game. And the invisibility one is just so broken. I love it so much. It even works against the bosses. My next pro here are the accessories. There's a ton of accessories in this game. They all do, a variety of things, just like good accessories do in a good game. But yeah, it's because this is a survival game, and this game is tough, and it keeps things tough too. Your main character, the girl, she doesn't have a whole lot of HP. I think she starts out with 20 HP or something like that, and you can die so quick, and the game doesn't really increase any of your stats too much. These accessories help a ton though. There's this one secret accessory you can find pretty early in the game that I think it cuts your life in half or 40% or something like that, but it gives you regen, HP regen. And let me tell you, that's probably the best accessory you can get in this entire game. And then there are other accessories and stuff and weapons you can find that give you MP regen. And so once you start getting regen in this game, it opens up so much, and it takes a lot of stress off your shoulders. When I first started getting MP regen, I was just so relieved. And I don't have this as a pro, but it definitely is a pro, but I love when a game is super stressful and then you figure something out and it just relieves so much stress off of you. It's oh, that just feels great. I think that's kind of the appeal to a lot of Dark Souls games. Because in Dark Souls, if you explore and find a lot of stuff, it can help you out in this game that just seems absolutely unfair. In Dark Souls, when I was fighting the Capra Demon, I was like, there's absolutely no way I can fight this fight. I walk in there, he immediately kills me. And so I figured out, okay, I need poise. I need to be able to block stuff and not get staggered. And so I scoured the map until I found like better armor and all this stuff to give me poise so I could actually go in and fight this Capra Demon. And lo and behold, I was able to actually hold my own and take him out. I love being rewarded for exploration, and I love anything that can take such a disadvantaged situation and flip it on its head, and now you have the advantage. I think that's great, and Lost Ruins does that a lot with its accessories and with its items and things like that. Just know, and I probably should have put this in the cons because I don't know, it's just silly, but like every time you defeat a boss, they drop an item that's like a permanent buff as long as you're holding it, because I mean, you don't even have to equip it, it's passive, but it's always like, not always, but mainly like women's underwear. And I don't know, that's just weird to me. All right, my next pro here is all the environmental stuff. I guess this environmental stuff was kind of the selling point for Lost Ruins. So what I mean about that is, again, your girl is not like a combat hardened mercenary or anything like that. And so there's going to be a lot of times you have to look at your environment and use it to your advantage. And so probably the most famous thing that you can do in this game, at least the one that people know because you can do it pretty early in the game, is you can find a piece of armor that's like a swimsuit, equip it, and then you are then resistant to electricity or something like that. Then you can jump into a pool of water with enemies and then shoot lightning, and it'll shock everything in the water but you. And I thought that was really cool. It helps out with a lot of the enemies in that game, and it's something you got to kind of like put together yourself. Not that it's like extremely difficult, but it's cool when you figure that stuff out. And there are other environmental things, like there might be a lantern that you can knock down, or some enemy might be puking up goo, and you can set that goo on fire and hurt them. So I know this. I guess this is kind of spoilery, but it's just part of the game, and you should know about it. So yeah, using all the environment to your advantage and stuff is really, really cool in this game. I'm going to stop talking about it now because I don't want to spoil too much. But the examples that I gave you are very early in the game. The next pro I have here is the difficulty. I kind of talked about it already, that it is a really difficult game, but there are points in it as you're playing where you'll get a bunch of stuff that'll make that difficulty like dip hard. And so I don't want to reiterate all that. I just wanted to kind of say it again, that man, the difficulty, it's a tough game, but you will get rewarded for exploration and doing side quests and stuff. So, and that difficulty will just go down immensely. So just keep an eye out while you play this game. My next pro is this game has multiple endings. I think in the base game there are 2 endings, and I don't want to spoil anything. I'm not even going to have a spoiler section. I might only have a spoiler section for the last game in this episode, Biomorph, but yeah, there are multiple endings in this game, 2 for the base game, and you get it by obviously being observant and figuring things out. But yeah, I love it when games have multiple endings, and again, when it's rewarded by doing extracurricular activities as opposed to like a binary choice or something like that. I appreciate it. So good job, Lost Ruins. Next pro I have here is the game length. If I recall correctly, this game is like 6 hours or something like that, 5 to 6 hours. So it's relatively short, but it's still a whole lot of fun, especially because the difficulty is there. And there's just so many things that you can do in the game, side quests wise and whatnot. And y'all know me, if you can make a game that is fun and succinct, I'm cool with that. I feel like what this game wanted to do, it got done in the time that it allotted itself. So you get no complaints from me for being a 5 to 6 hour game. And my last pro here is that the game has a very interesting new game mode that unlocks. I don't want to spoil it, but once you beat the game, another mode unlocks, and this mode allows you to play the game with different characters, and I'll just leave it at that. And it's really, really interesting and really cool, and a great new approach to a world you're pretty familiar with, and I think it's worth taking a look at. All right, let's talk about the cons for Lost Ruins. And I'll get through these pretty quickly. I don't really have a whole lot of cons, but we talked about the schoolgirl aesthetic and whatnot. That's just, I don't know, wasn't my favorite with the jiggle physics and stuff, and the focus on like characters' boobs and things like that. I don't know. It's I got nothing against it, but at the same time, it's just not a good selling point to me. So just know that there is a schoolgirl aesthetic, and there's like a jiggle physics for like some of these monsters. If that's your thing, there you go. If not, at least now you know. Like, I don't think it's over the top, and it's not like an M-rated game, like, because there's, sexual stuff in it. But I would still kind of classify it as a horny game. Okay, next con I have is the map. I didn't really like the map in the game. Like, the world itself was fine. The biomes were pretty cool, and the interconnectivity was great. There's a fast travel system to help you out, so that's cool. But the actual in-game map, it's just like blocks that are gray, and I don't know, it wasn't great. Like, it was fine, just wasn't the best. My next con is the game's UI. I absolutely hated this game's UI. If you wanted to re-equip a weapon or an accessory or something like that, you have to, pause it, go into the menu, and track down this stuff. And it's just, they give you like a favorite option where you can like favorite weapons, and they'll go to the top and whatnot. But it's just, I don't know, it's kind of clunky, and it just looks bad and I don't know, like amateurish, and doesn't really come across very well. So I don't know, I hated this game's UI. And this is a big one, and it's probably gonna piss some people off. I don't think so, but like, they either piss you off because I said it or piss you off because I wasted your time. But Lost Ruins is not a Metroidvania. You're gonna hear in all kinds of reviews and all kinds of stuff, people will say, "Oh yeah, this is a survival Metroidvania," or Lost Ruins, this is the Metroidvania, blah blah blah. No, it's not a Metroidvania at all. There are, me, I bring it up every once in a while. There are like 4 pillars that you absolutely must have in order to be a Metroidvania. One of those pillars is that there has to be utility-gated, progression. And what that means, of course, is you go up to some place, you can't enter that place or go into that place, or you can't go here because you don't have the ability yet to, or upgrade yet to then, traverse. There are no traversal or movement upgrades at all in Lost Ruins. You start out with a jump and a roll, and that's all you get. Now, I'm not saying that Lost Ruins is a bad video game. I like it. I've played it a few times, and I always have a blast every time, but it is not a Metroidvania. And you'd think that'd be the con to end all cons, but I'll end it with one more con, is that this game ultimately ends up feeling like a demo to me. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's its short length. Maybe it's its narrative never really does anything like too interesting, or that there's actually very little progression that goes on with your character at all. But yeah, this game comes across as almost like a tech demo to me, or a proof of concept, rather than a full-fledged video game. It's tough for me to explain, but I feel the same way about Time Spinner. There's just something about it that makes it feel unfinished, like not unpolished. I think the game looks and plays well, but it just I feel like it just needs more to make me feel like it's a completed video game. I don't know. I could just be stupid or something, or maybe I'm just not articulating it well enough. But there's just something about Lost Ruins that made me feel like it needed more. Anyway, you all can go to the comments and correct me or help me out if you want. But I'm just going to move on to the final thoughts. So my final thoughts for Lost Ruins. I love Lost Ruins. It's designed so well in that the devs made your character feel unwieldy, yet at the same time designed her world fairly so that she's fully capable of handling everything that's thrown at her, even if you don't initially think she can handle it. And its pixel work is absolutely incredible. It just sucks that it's not actually a Metroidvania. And because it's not actually a Metroidvania, I'm dropping it straight into the F tier. But where in the F tier? Yeah, that's probably fine. I gotta give it to 2 Parsecs, because 2 Parsecs is a terrible game. I hate that game, but it is a legit Metroidvania. So everything else below 2 Parsecs is not so much a Metroidvania. But I do like Lost Ruins a lot. Do I like it more than Dead or School? Maybe. I think I do. I do like Dead or School a lot, though. But yeah, there you go. Lost Ruins, not a Metroidvania, y'all. And the last entry for this episode is Biomorph. Biomorph's pretty new. I think it came out maybe a month ago or something like that. I don't recall. A month or 2, maybe. Since the publishing of this video. But yeah, I was actually blown away by Biomorph. I did not pay attention to it at all, which is not uncommon. I know that Metroidvanias exist, and then I forget about them because I want to go into games as blind as possible. Really just to not make any expectations, right? Because once you start making expectations, to me, it can hurt games. And that's kind of what I'm worried about with Silksong. Like, we've waited so long for Silksong. People have so high expectations for this game, and it's just going to keep building and building and building. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when that game gets released finally in 2030. Anyway, back to Biomorph. So, what is Biomorph? So, you play as Harlow, some kind of creature who has 2 AI heads floating around his body, acting like his arms. He awakens within a lab with very little memory of how he got there or who the other prisoner in the lab is. All he knows is he wants to save him. This sets him off on a journey to activate mysterious beacons scattered around the world so he can obtain access to the part of the lab where the prisoner is being held hostage. Okay, so the first pro I have for Biomorph is the Biomorph gimmick. A lot of people look at the Biomorph gimmick and say, oh yeah, it's Kirby, which they're not entirely wrong, but it's still done very, very well. So what the Biomorph gimmick is that you kill certain enemies and then you can morph into them. And so unlike Kirby, where Kirby gets a cute little hat and gets their abilities, Harlow actually completely becomes these characters and has all their abilities, movements, and all their quirks. And this gimmick, I hate to even call it a gimmick because it is so much more than a gimmick. It adds so much to the game's exploration and platforming than it subtracts at all. And what's cool about this biomorph mechanic, I'll say, is that you can permanently keep these biomorphs and create loadouts based on your liking. For instance, you may like a specific biomorph because it spits out a ball and gives you a long-range attack for free, or you may like another biomorph because it just jumps high. And you can freely switch between these different forms at will. And because of that, that brings me to my next pro, and that is that there's varied platforming in this game thanks to this biomorph mechanic. Every time you go into a biome, you're going to, see new enemies, and it's exciting because you're like, ooh, I wonder what enemies I'm going to be able to biomorph into in this biome, and then how's that going? How is that new form going to interact with the new obstacles within this biome? It's all really great and really creative. I don't want to talk too much about all the different biomorphs, for spoilers, or really just to let you discover them yourself. But yeah, they add so much to the game, combat-wise, platforming-wise, exploration-wise. It's cool stuff, man. And that brings us to the next pro, and that's combat. Combat in this game is great, and if you wanted a quick reference, it's basically like Ender Lilies. You got, your 3 face buttons, each one corresponds to a specific chip that you can equip, and so pressing that face button will do that chip's move, and some chips have limited uses that get recharged once you hit a save point or repair station. I really like combat like this because it just, it focuses less on comboing, which I think is just kind of like not my favorite thing to focus on when it comes to combat in a 2D platformer game. And so it doesn't focus on comboing and is more focused on utility, such as combat approach, right? Typically I think it's a good idea to, to have a chip that's good for close range combat, a chip that can do that goes really well against aerial enemies, and then maybe a chip that does a projectile. But you don't have to do that. You can have 3 projectile chips if you want. And so yeah, I just like this approach. And it's not just the chips. You can actually have 3 different biomorphs that you've obtained as well. And that brings us, I guess, to our next pro, is that there's a lot of player expression in this game. It legit has loadouts. Well, it has a loadout, but we'll get to that when we get to the cons. But yeah, you can go to your safe is what it's called. That's that's the save point in this game. And you can equip whatever chips that you want, whatever biomorphs that you want, and then head out into the world. So that's pretty good player expression, but then they actually have a charm system as well. I can't remember what the charm system in this game is called. Mods, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, you can add all kinds of different accessories and stuff that then will have Harlow doing different things, like being a money magnet, which is always a popular one. And there's one that gives you an extra Estus flask thing so you can heal yourself. There's just all kinds of different things. And you can equip a bunch of these based off of the slots that you have. I mean, you've all probably played Hollow Knight and Ori and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, tons of player expression. My next pro here is that this game's exploration is excellent. I don't know where I have it on the pros, or even if I have it on the pros, but when I think about exploration, I think about stuff that I can find, right? In this game, pretty much this map is huge, by the way, and pretty much every area and every room in this map, there is something to find or something to do. So you are always getting rewarded for pretty much every location that you go to. It is crazy how rewarding the exploration is in this game. And another really cool facet of exploration is this game is absolutely non-linear. It starts out linear, which is, par for the course. You gotta you do some guiding in your Metroidvania, right? And so you get to a certain point in the early game where you do this thing, and then all of a sudden all these objectives hit your map, and you can hit these objectives anytime you want. in any order you want. And for reference, you think of it as Hollow Knight when you discover the Dreamers, right? And they put the Dreamers on your your map, and then you can like go to them in any order you want. Very similar here. And that is one of my favorite approaches to Metroidvanias, when they're just like, guess what? Have fun, and just let you off through the world. Amazing stuff. Next pro I have here are the side quests. There are a ton of side quests in this game, and they are addicting. Like, again, I don't even think I have this as a pro, but another pro for this game is its sense of progression. You are constantly moving the needle on something. May it be a side quest, may it be getting a new biomorph, may it be leveling up that biomorph. There's just so much to do in this game, and it's just so cool to go into like your map and seeing your objectives. I don't think your objectives are in the map. I think there's another tab for that. But just going into your pause screen and looking at all your stuff, and okay, what am I doing now? And then just running all over the place. And I guess that brings us to another pro that I didn't write down here, and that's this game's fast travel. It has one of the best fast travels ever, and it's not perfect. Maybe I'll just talk about it now, but yeah, the fast travel is like your save systems. I'm sorry, your save stations, right? Every save station that you approach in this game is a potential fast travel point. And I say potential because you have to have this thing called the save kit or something like that, and you have to not just find the save point, but then you got to like use this item on it to turn it into fast travel. That was not my favorite aspect of the game, but it wasn't terrible. I think it only like bit me in the butt near the end, where I ran out of this these save kits to turn the save stations into fast travel stations, and so I had to do some backtracking. But it didn't last very long. But it was still obnoxious nonetheless. But beyond that, fast travel is great. No waypoints. It's true awesome fast travel from save point to save point. And so that brings us back to the side quests and how addictive they are. You want to be moving the needle and all this stuff, and with a map this freaking big, right? That fast travel helps so much. And let's talk about the map a little bit, because this will be my next pro, is that the map in this game is perfect for completionists. And this is something that all Metroidvanias should be doing moving forward, in my opinion, and that is letting you know when you've done everything in a given area. Ender Lilies does it. I'm sure there are some others, but I can't think off the top of my head. But I don't want just this like 100% completion in this area. I love that you look at the map, and in the map, the area that you're in has some sort of indicator. In Ender Lilies, it changed colors. In Biomorph, the room's border turns gold, and that is just amazing. Whenever a Metroidvania gives you the tools to 100% it, that is a big deal. And this game does that. Not only does it give you the tools in the map, with the borders and whatnot, but it also, eventually you can like unlock something that gives you hard numbers to let you know, hey, you need to find this many more Scargatos or whatever, right? So this game, it wants you to 100% it, and you easily could. And that is amazing to me. It's such a little thing to ask for, but man, when it's implemented and done right, you really appreciate it. And there's so many other cool things that the map does. Like, it even does that thing from Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, where in that game you can like take a screenshot and put it on the map. Biomorph does it too. Like, seriously, when it comes to respecting players' time and really, giving the player tools in order to be successful in this game, the devs, they just absolutely nailed it. And there are people out there, I don't understand it myself, but I'll give you the argument. There are people out there like, well, I don't like fast travel, or I don't like, all these tools. Like, that's fine. Don't use them, but give me the option. Like, seriously, I really do get people coming up to me with these arguments, and I'm just like, dude, it's an option. Just don't use it. I think it's weird, but, whatever. This is kind of a weird pro, but I like to call it out when it happens. The climax to this game has excellent pacing. And what do I mean by that specifically? Specifically, I mean I've done everything in the game I need to get to the climax, we'll say, and the game does not throw any more puzzles or another biome in my way, nothing like that. It's just like, go to the final boss. I love that. I'm not saying that every game should have that or that it's effective when every game does it, but when Biomorph did it, making it to where the climax is really just like, hey, go there and for the final confrontation, no more BS, just go. I think they absolutely nailed it. And that's because this game is just so big anyway. To throw in like another biome at the very, very last leg would have just been like, I don't know, I'd have just been like, ugh. It just kills the pacing for me. But yep, no, I think Biomorph did a really good move and just saying, hey, there's the final boss, go get him. And I especially like it because it's a pretty long game. This game's like 20 hours or something like that. I can't recall, something like that. And you've done so much already, and it's nice to be rewarded with an option to go straight to the final boss whenever you want. I don't know, maybe I'm not articulating it well enough, but I think what Biomorph did was the right move. The next two pros I have are going to be part of the spoilers, so I'm just going to vaguely mention them, and then when the spoilers section comes up, I'll dive a little deeper into it. But the first one here is that this game has multiple endings, and I thought the true path to get to the true ending was just okay. Yeah, like I said, I'll dive deeper into that in the spoiler section. And then my last pro is that this game has one of the best biomes I've played in MV history. Like, I played a lot of Metroidvanias, guys, and this biome I thought was just so freaking cool. And again, I'll dive deeper into that in the spoiler section. All right, let's talk about the cons for Biomorph. The first one I have here is that there's no multiple loadouts. I would have loved to have multiple loadouts, just like in Ender Lilies. Like in Ender Lilies, I like to have like a loadout that was good against, specific enemies. And so they gave you like two different loadouts that you could have in that game. Like, let's say one loadout is good against armored enemies, and another loadout is good for just regular enemies or something like that. Who knows? And I would like to have seen that in Biomorph. I think that would have like taken this game up to another level, man. If I could have 6 biomorphs that I could switch into at any time, and 6 different chips that I could use at any time that I could just swap between them. These loadouts, that would have been great. Obviously, it's not it's not like something that's game breaking. Like, oh, it just would have been nice to have, right? So if you make a Biomorph 2, maybe that's something to consider. Please make a Biomorph 2. Next con I have here is that the narrative's kind of weak. It's not bad. It's and it's not uncommon to have a game that is really, really open, right? To have a weaker narrative. For example, take a look at the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild games. You may like those games, I get it, and they're fun games, but I don't think it can be argued that these narratives are kind of weak. Quite honestly, a lot of the Zelda games narratives are kind of weak in my opinion, but they're not bad. They're just they're kept simple for a reason. Anyway, back to Biomorph. Yes, this game's narrative's kind of weak, and I attribute that to its openness. But again, it's not a bad narrative. It's kind of like, there's a lot of environmental storytelling, and they do a really good job on that. And there's NPCs that you will talk to, as a lot of them actually, as you play the game, that will reveal stuff. And there's those what do they call it? They're laptops, but they call them something else, like tapper boxes or something like that. Like, if you want lore and you want story, this game's got it, and it's more of like extracurricular stuff. But it wasn't enough to keep me like super motivated to play the game. Like, I wasn't like, ooh, what's this, what's that? Like, I don't know, maybe it's because it had like this environmentalist edge to it, or environmentalist slant, where they had like this stuff called ferrix that the world was like mining, or like, basically it's a proxy for oil. And it's just, I've seen that slant so many times, and I don't think they really did anything too new with it. Like, what they did with it was perfectly fine, but it just, I don't know. I guess I just wanted more between Harlow and whatever that prisoner was, because as you play the game, cutscenes get revealed showing their past, and it's okay. It wasn't great, but it was just okay. And don't get me wrong, there are some really cool like narrative storytelling things that happened in this game, and I'm especially going to talk about it in the spoilers. But I don't know. I just wanted it to. I don't know. Maybe it's not even a con. Like I said, this is a very open game. The narrative is fine. It is fine to good. Like, I wouldn't say it's bad at all. I guess I just wanted more, and so that's my expectation, I guess. So maybe this isn't even a con, but take it for what it's worth. I did like the narrative, the environmental storytelling, the extracurricular storytelling you get from the letter tappers or whatever those are called. So, maybe even forget I said anything at all. I don't know. I just thought, I don't know. Maybe it all stems to the ending and the true path. I don't know. Well, maybe I'll talk. Well, I'm definitely going to talk about that in the spoilers, but I don't want to go too much here. Let's just move on to the next con. Oh yeah, and my next con is that it's the finale to the true path is super disappointing. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil that right now, so I'll put that in the spoiler section. But while doing the true path, I thought was awesome. Like, you need an ability for this true path, and you obtain it, and then you have to scour the map to see where you need to use this ability so you can get things that you need. It's tough to talk about this in vaguely, but it's just anyway, like, getting all that stuff, getting the ability you need, and collecting the stuff that you need, that's all great. But then the reward for doing all that is you get to watch something happen, and that thing that happens I thought was just super boring and disappointing. And so I'll leave it at that. That'll be the cons. Not a whole lot of cons for this game, but we're going to move into the spoilers. So if you want to go straight to my final thoughts on Biomorph, skip to this time frame here. All right, welcome to the spoiler section of Biomorph. I guess the first thing I want to talk about is its multiple endings and the true path. So there are 2 endings that you can get in this game, and it's a binary, which is not my favorite. I think I talked about that not too long ago, even in this episode. But yeah, it's not my favorite choice where it's like, hey, either choose this or choose that. It's fine because you get to see both endings on one save. That's pretty cool. But you can see all 3 endings in this game on one save, which, kudos to the devs for doing that. I that's one of my least favorite things in the world is that I got to replay an entire game just to see another ending or something like that. Shin Megami Tensei does that a lot, and it frustrates me. But anyway, yeah. So the multiple endings in this game, the endings themselves, I thought were pretty cool, especially the true final ending, which is like this really cool marriage of both. Because that's what this game does. It gives you 2 choices, right? Each one is an extreme, and then the secret third choice that you can unlock is a marriage of those extremes to make them like this moderate compromise that helps everybody involved. And it also comes with an awesome cliffhanger, so that's cool. But yeah, so anyways, the true path to get to this ending I liked. There's somebody digging underneath the town, and every time you light a beacon, I suppose, or activate a beacon, this person digs deeper into the town. Once you light all the beacons, you can then go to the final boss of the game, and you can see one of those 2 endings. Or you can go back to town, talk to this person. They've found another ship that you can get an ability from, and this ability lets you move through, dark matter or something like that. It's very much like on Ender Lilies, where you get that ability to unlock those mystery doors or the secret doors or whatever. And so then you got to run through the entire map, being like, okay, where did I find all those doors beforehand so you can get all the tablets, right? Biomorph very much does this exact same thing. You get an ability that it doesn't unlock doors, but lets you travel through this dark matter, and you go through this dark matter, and you find, what are they called? Epitaphs, something epitaphs. So you got to go all over the place in this enormous world and find, I can't remember how many there are, 9 maybe. I think there's 1 per biome or something, I can't recall. And then you take all of these epitaphs to this door. This door is found in this haunted town that was destroyed by these giant robots called Sentinels. And this town is haunted, right? And so you go through this town, and at the end of this town is this enormous door that apparently the Sentinels were trying to get to and destroy. And so you're teased throughout the entire game, what the heck is behind this door? And this door will scan you, and it will be and then won't let you in, right? Well, once you get all these epitaphs, you go there, this door scans you, and you can go inside this room finally. And what's inside this room? Like a jacuzzi or something. You jump in this hot spring jacuzzi thing, and something happens. I don't even know. The characters, the 2 AI heads that act as your arms will be like, oh, I feel better now. I can fight my inner demons or whatever. I don't want to sound mean, but it's kind of dumb. And I guess I get what the devs were trying to do. They were just trying to say, hey, dipping into this pool will then make your AIs not evil anymore, because the AIs end up being evil, or at least they're under the control of the final boss. But somehow this jacuzzi dip gives them the confidence they need to fight back. And so, hey, we don't want to do what you want to, what you're telling us to do, evil bad guy. We're going to do what we think's right, or I don't know, whatever. And I could be wrong in that interpretation, but it's either way, it's disappointing. I was like, what the heck do these giant robots want to destroy in here so badly? And it just ends up being like a jacuzzi, but whatever. And so, yeah, the true path, or to get to the true ending, I liked it a lot. I just thought that reward of the jacuzzi was kind of lame. But then the actual ending that you get because you did this is pretty cool. And that brings me to the last spoiler bit here, and that was when I said that this game has one of the best biomes in MV history. It's called the Forbidden Plain, and it's like this pretty area, this open plain, right? But it's just full of these giant sentinel robots stomping around and flying and shooting missiles and things all over the place. And that's because it's right outside the town that they destroyed for whatever reason. I know there's a reason, I just can't remember off the top of my head. I guess the reason is because they wanted to get to that jacuzzi and destroy it. But anyway, yeah, I love this freaking biome so much. It's got a cool gimmick. It's got like cool scenery. It gets recontextualized as you're playing the game. It's just so amazing. Absolutely love when biomes get recontextualized. And what I mean by that is that, something happens within the game and it changes the biome. It's not mind-blowing, but I just love it. I just think it's great. And so what happens in Biomorph, you go to this biome and there's not a whole lot you can do. Well, I wouldn't say there's not a whole lot you can do. There are areas that are absolutely blocked off to you. And so what you have to do is go through this area and then go into the haunted village that they destroyed and find a key to the Sentinel facility, and then find the Sentinel facility, which is, close by, but it's still kind of a trek. Go into that facility, destroy, I don't know, the Sentinel that's a core or something that's controlling all the other Sentinels. You destroy that, then you can return to the Forbidden Plain where all the Sentinels are stomping around. And now a bunch of the defenses are down and they no longer are shooting at you and stuff like that. And so you can use them to climb on to get to new areas and stuff like that and find a whole other different biome and stuff. It is legit amazing. And you'll be using all the abilities that you've gotten to this point, and just it feels like you're exploring an area you shouldn't be exploring because you're jumping from like Sentinel to Sentinel to get to places. It's a really great feeling and just a freaking fantastic biome. And when you first go to this biome, it's capstoned with this huge window. Like, you go in this facility, you can go to this huge window and you look out this window and you can see all these different Sentinels just stomping around and flying around and stuff. And it's a really cool way to end that amazing biome. And you're just kind of looking at it and like kind of in awe, like, wow, this is cool. So yeah, it's one of the best biomes I've played in a Metroidvania. And trust me when I say I've played a lot of Metroidvanias, man. So that's saying something. All right, my final thoughts for Biomorph. You probably guessed this, but I really had to scrape to find some cons for Biomorph. The game just does so much so well on the MV front. Its non-linear exploration, giant map, and discoverable items in nearly every single one of its rooms makes it an excellent experience from beginning to end. And the Biomorph gimmick keeps you on your toes when it comes to platforming. You never know what you're in for upon entering a new biome. All you know is whatever awaits you, it's going to be cool. And with all that being said, where does Biomorph go on the tier list? I don't think this should surprise anybody, but this is going straight to the S tier, like 100%. There's nothing that this game doesn't do great as a Metroidvania. Some things it does exemplary, so putting it in the S tier is absolutely non-negotiable. Where at in the S tier though? I'm kind of okay with it being on the lower end. And that's not saying anything bad, you're in the S tier, you're the creme de la creme of Metroidvanias. And the reason I would put it on the lower end is because it didn't wow me with its narrative. And I know that's probably the stupidest thing you guys ever hear. You're like, oh my god, Guru and his stupid narrative. But it's not so much that the narrative didn't blow me away. There was no melding of narrative and mechanics that blew me away. And I'm sorry, if you're going to be in the S tier, you gotta nail everything, and Biomorph nails everything. Don't get me wrong, I just think that the other two entries in that list nail it a little harder. I don't know if that's controversial or not, but yeah, it is what it is. It's obvious that Biomorph is an S tier Metroidvania. There's no question. And so if you haven't played it yet, I highly recommend it. And there you go, 3 more Metroidvanias on the books. How are things looking to you all so far? Do you agree with where I placed these 3 new entries? Let me know in the comments below. Of course, leave me any feedback on these tier lists in the comments. I do my best to take a look at them and make any amendments where I feel amendments should be made based off your all's input. And as always, I'm the Metroidvania Guru, and if you've listened to this entire thing, I appreciate you. So that'll be it for this month for the tier list. I'll see you all next month with 3 new entries, and so I'll leave you with a hint the next Metroidvania analysis I'll be doing and releasing shortly. Have a good one, y'all.
Our journey starts with our hero out in the woods, accompanied by his friend Ella, when they hear a frightening sound. As the pair flee in terror, the ground gave way, plunging our hero into a cave, knocking him unconscious.